Welcome again to another edition of Tanner's Travels, and I just recently got back to Central Florida after going up to Charlotte, North Carolina, where I did a morning radio show on a country radio station for 22 years. Had a lot of blessings during that time. I got to meet a lot of amazing people and decided to give you a little, a rundown of some of the country artists that we have met through the years, myself and the folks who were on the show with me, and well, some of the ones that we had the most memorable moments with and really enjoyed during our time on country radio. And there's so many. I'm going to leave some out, but big thanks to Luke Bryan has always been there for us. Lee Bryce is such an amazing person. Jason Aldean, can't say enough about Jason. Just a terrific, great guy. My memories of Scotty McCreery are always fantastic. Darius Rucker has been the kindest man whenever we've had a moment to spend some time with him. But I've had a lot of great memories. I want to run down some of the other folks in the cast first, and then I'll get to mine as we get towards the end of this video. But I wanted to show you one of my favorite memories, of course. Like anyone, I'm sure it would be when you get to win one of these. This is an ACM award for Major Market Personalities of the Year. We won this in 2018, 2019. You can see that baby right there. It looks pretty much, well, it's like a refrigerator handle is what it is. What I really find fascinating about this is apparently you can't sell these ever, because on the bottom of it, right there, you see the sticker? The sticker says, gave the sticker the wrong way. There it is. It says, ACM Award statuette is a property of the Academy of Country Music. It may not be transferred, sold, or used in any manner without express written consent, intended solely for the private use and benefit of the recipient and the recipient's heirs. So my kids, either Emily, who edits these videos, or Ethan, will get this statuette. And I'll tell you, I've asked them before, this is a pretty big honor, and neither one of them really care about it. They could care less. They want the Christmas decorations from their mom. ACM award, national award, want that? No, don't care, doesn't matter. Anyways, let's join a couple of my co-workers. This was on the day that we were officially retiring from the Tanner in the Morning Show, and some of our best memories with many country artists. Here is one of the guys that actually really has brought the funny for the Tanner in the Morning Show for a lot of years. This right here is Captain Jim.
I wasn't trying to be funny.
He really wasn't very funny at all, to be honest with you. But as we wrap up our 22 years on the air in Charlotte, North Carolina, I want to talk to some of these folks and get some of their memories, like the best experience that they've had with a country artist. Captain Jim, is there one that comes to mind for you?
Well, we've had a lot of great experiences with country artists. A number of them come to mind, but first and foremost has to be Keith Urban, and just the way he treated everyone, including my wife. We were at some kind of awards thing where they were trotting artists around, and they bring them around with their reps, and they have a couple of minutes to spend with you. But it felt like Keith Urban had all the time in the world, and my wife was trying to take a selfie, and she's not as tall, and well, really, he's not as tall either, but she was having trouble with it, wasn't really happy with it, kind of frowned, and he said, here, let me help you. And he took the phone from her and got it just right, took 2 or 3, took his time. And then I had a guitar, so he takes my guitar and just wore it out for a couple of minutes, which was cool to watch him just pick up an instrument and go to town on it like that. And just, like I said, it felt like he had all the time in the world. And plus he smelled good.
Yeah, he always smells good. My wife
really
mentions that too, that Keith Urban smells terrific. And he is one of the artists that all of us agree, just a very kind man who always has time for radio.
I think a lot of folks will have that same answer about him.
Yeah, I've never seen a time where Keith has turned his back and said, no, I'm too busy, or I can't do this. He's one of the few huge artists that still always makes calls to radio stations, spends some time with them. When they do those rounds, like Captain Jim was talking about, these events, CMA Awards, ACMs, things like that. Some of the bigger stars will only have, we only got 2 minutes.
I always say the big stars, they have 2 people with them, one to say yes and one to say no. Mm-hmm. And that way everything's covered. no matter what happens. But they're usually on a time limit, and that guy's in the background going, oh, man.
Got to move along. But
I move them along. We got to move them along. And they're the rude one, but the star usually tries to be, sweet.
Keith Urban, just absolutely one of the greatest. Now we have moved in the much shorter and much prettier.
I didn't realize how short I am compared to you.
Well, I mean, with Captain Jim, he's huge, and this is
Right.
Catherine Lane from the Tanner in the Morning Show, who's
Hey, y'all.
one of the most amazing ladies you'll ever meet. Just a fantastic talent, and
You.
has been doing this a lot of years, and we've had a lot of great experiences together. Before you tell me your favorite, I hope I don't pull it out. It wasn't the Taylor Swift mom moment, was it?
Oh, what my best artist moment?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Let me quickly tell you, because Catherine and myself, Taylor Swift is, whether you love her or you hate her, she's a genius at marketing. She always makes sure, sends you thank you letters, things like that when you do an interview with her, which is smart.
Yes.
As an artist, she makes radio people feel very much at home. Well, we went to do a big interview with her when she was in town in Charlotte one year. Catherine Lane and myself went early to broadcast, and of course, we had so much time. We managed to have a couple beverages.
We were there all day.
All day.
Yeah.
So we're backstage. We get to meet Taylor, and she's kind as she usually is. But it was one of the big tours where she does all kinds of costume changes and comes up through the air and stuff. And we were mentioning, wow, I'd love to see what that looks like back in the room where we're meeting Taylor. And all of a sudden, this lady comes along.
That looks just like Taylor, only a little older.
And says, oh, would you like to see? And Taylor Swift's mom took the time and said, come on, I'll show you, and walked us around backstage and showed us all the cool
Yes,
stuff.
and she treated us like we were the only people there that day. I
Yeah.
mean, I tell you, that was lovely.
It was truly
very
amazing.
special.
It really, really was. So,
Yeah.
your favorite artist moment?
Okay, my favorite artist moment was with Garth Brooks, and here's why. Much like what Captain Jim said, it was because he was nice to my husband.
Oh,
So if you'll recall, we're in Nashville, I think. We're in a big room. They bring the artists around. When Garth Brooks got there a little bit later on in the day, the molecules in the room kind of changed, right? Oh,
Garth.
Garth's here. Garth's here. So everybody's all excited, and we're all excited. We're all, getting things ready and getting the videos and the this and that all ready for Garth. Garth's walking in. And my husband, was unaffected by stars.
Very mellow.
Yeah,
Whatever. Okay.
he doesn't know half of them is the thing, but he did know who Garth Brooks was. But so my husband is kind of standing back in the corner while we're preparing. Garth makes a beeline for my husband before he even speaks to us. He kind of notices Rick in the background looking a little uncomfortable, and he goes to my husband and he says, "Is that your wife?" pointing to me, and Rick's like, "Yes, sir." And then Garth says, "Well, what do you think about all this?" And Rick just says, "Hectic." And Garth like throws his head back and says, "Tell me about it." I had the same experience traveling with her, talking about Trisha Yearwood. And then he introduces, hey, I'm Garth. And it meant so much to me that Rick was not there to do something for him or with him, but he made a beeline for Rick and said something kind. So I love that.
Garth is another one of those guys, like Captain Jim mentioned with Keith Urban, who goes out of his way. When we were doing an interview with him one time, the handlers were all around him, and he only had a couple minutes. He had to move on. And Garth only had just sat down with us. I mean, it was a minute and a half in, and they're like, got to wrap it. They're rapping behind us. They're doing this. They do this behind you. When you can't do it, rap. He's got to rap. And they kept giving us. And Garth basically turned around to them and said,
No.
We're not done. We just sat down here. He was the one who said, just cool your jets.
He's like, "Excuse me, I'm Garth Brooks."
I don't
know if you knew that.
When Garth Brooks says, why don't you just cool it back there, person behind me going, wrap it up, people just go, okay, Garth said,
Yes,
don't
sir.
wrap it up. So just terrific experience.
Yeah.
And it's been a terrific time I've had here doing this show for many years. And
Am I your favorite? Am I your favorite of all the cast
You are
members?
certainly a favorite
Okay.
of some people out there.
I'm your favorite girl on the show.
She is the favorite girl on
Yes.
the show. There, so Catherine Lane, everybody. And we're wrapping it up with probably the genius of the Tanner in the Morning Show, Mr. Reliable Chris Allen, who has been on the show from the beginning. Me and you are the Oh,
Yeah.
two really
Yeah.
originals
We were.
the day I came here, and
I thought you were a homeless guy just sitting outside the station when I walked up that morning. No, I'm Rob. Rob who?
I can't say enough about this guy. He's guided me through 22 years and keeps me on my toes and checks and makes sure I'm doing everything right, because I have a tendency
Not to.
I wander off. I mean, when it comes to morning radio, a lot of people prepare a lot of stuff. He knows. I just come in and go, oh, okay, well, let's just read this story next and see what happens. And it's worked, and amazingly, for 22 years. And he runs everything and does everything, and is a terrific radio talent and just an amazing person.
Thank
you.
Let's
have you go ahead and give us now your favorite moment. All the country artists have come in and out. The best time that you've had, or someone who you really just admire the heck out of.
Furlan Husky.
Yeah.
Furlan and I.
Everybody, kids, if you're watching this on YouTube, Furlan Husky, I want you to go ahead and Google that.
Go ahead and Denny Google that. Consistently every time I've been around him, did interviews with him, it's Justin Moore. Justin, I mean, the number of times we've had him at Coyote Joe's, Justin wants to go out into the crowd, sit at the bar, and chat like we were sitting in his hometown, you know. And he's just a great guy. He's always funny. He's got some of the greatest stories, and he's quick-witted. But consistently, it's always Justin. And he, you know, when he was out in the crowd a little bit, people coming up to him had all the time in the world for him.
We have always had such a good time, and Justin has such a great sense of humor. He's a small man. He's not tall at all, and everybody rips him about that. But he just takes it, and then he takes his shot back at a club here in town where the artist always signed this board that they had in there. Justin, there was a spot reserved for him one time. Chris Young came to town. And he signed the board, and then he knew Justin was coming a couple weeks later. And way up at the top, up in the corner, he put a little box and he said, "Reserved for Justin Moore." And when Justin got there to town, he actually had his manager hold him up to sign it. And of course, he had some choice words for Chris Young. But yeah, just one of those guys. Some of the other people I just wanted to quickly mention that have just been so wonderful to the Tanner in the Morning show here in Charlotte, North Carolina for many years. Eric Church has always been good to me. Eric and the show, a Carolina guy.
There's another one I wanted to bring up, and he has kind of followed you because he was breaking ground in country music about the time you were really getting show rolling here, and that was Luke Bryan.
Yes.
Because Luke has always asked you. You've been through 2 cancers right now, and it's just amazing. He asked you one time. You tell the story of that Luke looked at you and said, "How are you?"
Yeah.
And you said, "I'm good. Things are going good." You know, how are you?
Yes.
And he meant it. And Luke's that guy. He's just that guy that is truly concerned about people. And what you see is what you get.
Yeah. I mean, Luke has always been like that. God bless him. He's just good people. Eric Church's managers, when he was in town one time, one of their record reps came up to me and said, "Eric asked about you. Wanted me to check and see how you're doing." Luke Holmes, local guy. Luke, always just a real down-to-earth guy. Couldn't do any better. Lee Bryce, one of our favorite people who comes here in the studio. I know I'm going to leave some names out. There's so many of you out there that have been kind to us over the years, and we really, really do appreciate every single one of you.
Thank you.
All 3 of those folks are amazing people, and I will miss them so much. Obviously, we'll still stay in touch. Captain Jim is not retiring. He's too young, and he says that we are like grandparents to him. You're not that young, Captain Jim. You're really, really not. And he has now changed the text thread that we have. It used to be for the Tanner in the Morning show. He's changed it to the old folks. Some of my most memorable moments, there's so many to share. One of them, Tim McGraw, actually allowed us to come on stage and sing with him. I was with my daughter, Emily, who edits the videos, Emily doesn't really realize it. And I know she's going to throw a comment in here, how blessed she is to have been able to do this. She went on stage with me. They invited us out to sing with Tim McGraw. I'm sure you can probably see a little bit of that right now as I'm speaking out there on the stage, which was like a wow moment. Tim, very quiet, always been very kind, and we certainly do appreciate him. My daughter, she got to meet Taylor Swift when she was a baby and several other times. How many people have a picture of one of the most successful music artists in the history of the world holding her as a baby? There you go, Emily. That's for you. I have to tell you about a moment I had with Garth Brooks. So I've told you when I went to retirement that I've been through 2 different cancer surgeries. And my wife and myself had booked a night or 2 in Vegas when Garth was doing his Vegas residency. Well, because of the cancer, I was not able to get there. So I was on the phone with Garth one time doing an interview. And I mentioned that we didn't get to see him in Vegas. And he said, oh, that's awful. I said, yeah, well, what can we do? He said to me, well, you know what? How about if I fly you out to Nashville? You can see my show here. I said, that'd be great, Garth. Thanks, figuring he's talking on the phone. He's doing an interview with a radio guy. Yeah. We hang up the phone. 5 minutes later, one of his people called me to get all the information so Garth could fly me out there. Myself, my family, gets us out to Nashville. Then we got to do a meet and greet with Garth. I thought we'd stand in line with everybody, get to go backstage, take a picture with Garth. Trisha Yearwood was there with him. Be fantastic. Well, when I brought my wife and the kids up there for this, and their record rep came up and said, oh, Garth is going to meet you guys back in the green room with his wife Trisha in a few minutes. We go back there. Chuck Wicks, who's another country artist, was back there with a friend of his. And that was it. Couch is back there. Garth comes back with Trisha. Sat down and spent about 20 minutes just talking to us about family. I thought my wife was going to die. She said, I was freaking out. We're sitting there with Garth and Trisha. They've always been so kind. Both of them are truly amazing people. One of my biggest moments for me, because I'm such a fan, I got to interview the late Glenn Campbell in New York City when we were there for the CMA Award. This is before he passed away, and that was truly an honor. Just so many. I could go on forever. I really could, but those are some of the great ones for me, and I thank all of our artists that I've met over the years. They've always been wonderful people like family, so thank you. We would love for you to subscribe to Tanner's Travels, as we do all kinds of crazy stuff, and we'll do maybe some more stories like this. Maybe I'll do a thing where I like to name a country artist and I give you 3 words that maybe I could describe them with from the moments that I've had with them. I might do some of those in the future, but if you subscribe, that would be terrific. Just hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it very much, and thanks again for being part of Tanner's Travels.